Hey, good Saturday afternoon. 540-0580. Carl Rominger here answering your legal questions. What do you want to know? What don't you know? What do you want to know about divorce, custody, family law? Excuse me, I got a little cold here. Criminal law, question about child support. What do you want to do? Call us, 540-0580. We'll answer your questions here on the air. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm an attorney here in the mid-state. I practice all around the area. Go to Lancaster, Dauphin County. Of course, we've been involved in that little bonus gate matter. It's still ongoing. Just filed our second motion for mistrial. Mike Palermo in my office is the lead attorney on that for Miss Rose Pink. And, of course, I'm really excited because I now have free health care. I'm going to drop my health insurance immediately because I'm told I can just get signed up and pay my premiums whenever I need to because I'm not going to be denied for a prior existing condition. So here's what everybody needs to do. It's going to cost you $700 a year. That's the flat fee you're going to have to pay for the privilege of not carrying health insurance. I highly recommend it because if they can't deny you for a prior existing condition, you wait until you are diagnosed with cancer or some other hideous disease that's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to possibly cure, and then you start paying your premiums. So it's perfect. I'm going to save a ton of money this year. Amy, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger.
Hi, Carl. My name is Amy. I have a support order through Dauphin County Domestic Relations, and the master's report has come in and recommends alimony for a time.
Okay.
My question is, will the court order that alimony be paid through Dauphin County automatically?
Should I say automatically? No. It can be through domestic relations or not, and that's going to be completely up to the court. Some judges and masters prefer to do it that way. Some don't. Some leave it to the parties.
Could I make a motion to ask them to do it?
I was just going to say, but you can certainly ask for them to do it that way, particularly if there's ever been any collection problems in the past or there's a hint that there might be.
Oh, yeah, that's the problem. I never get it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you. I love to listen to your show.
Hey, thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. 540-0580. Blake, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger.
Hello?
Yeah.
Carl, my name's Blake Coons. I wanted to talk to you. Do you know anything about the commercial driver's license law? Because I'd like to hire you on a situation if I can.
We do work with people with CDLs quite a bit, and so if I don't know the answer immediately, Mike Palermo in my office, who is probably more of the traffic law guru, might.
Here's the thing. I'm a commercial driver, and I had an accident that I haven't had anything for 20 years, and I had it, and I work in a scrap metal yard in York, and they kept it off the books. They have a body shop. They fix the car, and then they're taking it out of my paycheck. Is that legal to take money out of my paycheck? I don't think under state law it is it? That's what I wanted to find out.
So you're employed by this company, and their vehicle got damaged, and now they're taking it out of your paycheck.
Yes, and I stopped coming back from the landfill. I stopped. It wasn't out of the way or anything. It was right off the road there. Stopped to get money out of the Mac machine at my credit union, and then I pulled out and I hit a car and it damaged the car. They fixed the car at their body shop and stuff, and they're taking $1,500 or more out of my paycheck every week. They're taking $50 a week out of my paycheck. I didn't sign anything, and I don't think it's legal to take anything out of your paycheck. I wanted to find.
Well, Blake, I don't know. I mean, the answer is it might be legal under some circumstances, but if you didn't agree to that kind of thing ahead of time, I'm not certain that they can withhold monies that they feel they're owed out of your pay, because pay does have a special status. I'm not going to be able to resolve that for you here on the air because I don't know the intricacies of the situation.
On the air,
but it's definitely worth looking into.
I'd like to.
Do you want to stay working there?
It doesn't matter to me. It's a principle. I worked for them for a long time, and
right.
And they're doing that to me. If that's the case, it doesn't matter to me. I just don't feel it's right.
Well, and I understand that, but I'll give you some. This is kind of the common sense advice that I like to give clients sometimes, which is.
Well, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
It cost me money to talk to you.
Well, it might, but you're going to have to make an appointment, come see us. But Blake, I just want to give you a little heads up here on something I think is important to always think about. if it means that you want to fight with your employer, it could jeopardize your employment status. And so
I know that. I'm saying, well, I'm talking to talk to you at your office.
Yeah.
How much will that cost me just to lay it out to you? Or
well, we usually do free consultations. So if you call and ask for one, I'm sure that Mr. Palermo or myself can give you a free consultation in the office for about 15 minutes.
And I listen to you, and I'm so against all this stuff. I'm a diehard. Against Obama, and I wish I was.
Well, Blake, and here's the general thing I wanted to say is, anytime you jeopardize your relationship with your employer and you lose your job, it's not hard to find a new job. Except we're now at 10% unemployment.
Well, now they say that the safety man says that there's a thing now that under CDL now they can go against the person themselves for every violation instead of the company and stuff. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. There's some truth to that.
And in the junkyard, the trucks ain't kept up and stuff, and if that's going to go against me, I have no accidents or violations on my record for 20 years. And
well, as you know, as a CDL driver, you have a duty to do a pre-trip and post-trip inspection.
Yeah, I do that, but if I'm not given the things to do the things, there's no new tires put on the truck. There are gouges in them. If I'm stopped by DOT, then the fine can't be given to the company. I was told by DOT before, they got to be given to the driver. Am I going to have to pay that if the company don't pay that? That's I want to find out and stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
For me to stay there, I'm tired of it. So
well, it sounds like then, from the practical standpoint, you might want to just move along and get your back pay put in. So, Blake, give us a call. I'm going to let you go because I got a few more callers hanging here, my friend.
Okay. Well, what's your number at your office?
It's 241-6070. 241-6070.
270. Okay.
All right, Blake.
I will be
all right.
You to talk to you. Are you available? To talk
I don't have my schedule with me, Blake. All right, I got to let Blake go. 540-0580. 540-0580. That's the number to call me here. Jeff, you're on WHB 580 with Carl Rominger. Jeff.
Hello?
Yes.
I heard you just make this comment about the health insurance.
Yeah.
That you're only going to get fined $700. I understand in the Fix-It bill they just passed, it's now $2,000.
Oh.
But the president's going to sign that next week. And my only question is, has the Congress now set a precedent for Fix-It bills that do not require can all be done through consolidation?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what's going on is, and that's kind of what the Republicans have said. They've said, okay, you want to do it this way, then just remember when we slip back into the majority, we're going to be able to do a lot of things you're not going to like as well.
Right. But, now they have taken the precedent that they could fix the health care bill simply by consolidation. So that means if the president changed or the president signed it, it could be done simply with a majority vote.
Right.
And okay. So, but the other question is this 60-vote majority that's not really constitutional, is it?
That's just an internal rule of theirs for the filibuster.
Right.
To keep something from the floor.
The override of the president is 2/3 on both houses, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we need 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate.
That's right.
To be the other party to be able to override the president.
Or quite frankly, I'm just going to opine here because I'm going to get too much into politics today, but I'll opine that the Democrats are going to get spanked so badly in the midterm election that I have a feeling that 2/3 that you would need to override the president might include quite a few Democratic votes who want to go and say, hey, we're with the American people.
I'm just giving a hypothetical. Right now, there's 59 senators, and 20 are up for re-election. So if all of them won, 41 senators, so it would be 61. So you'd be 5 short for the Senate, but potentially all the Congress, the entire Congress could go. The House could go 2/3. Correct.
Correct.
All right.
All right, my friend. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Must go to break.
Bye.
540-0580. I'll see you after the break. Hey, welcome back. Carl Rominger here, 540-0580, answering your legal questions. And I'm going to go right to some callers here because we've got quite a few calls on the board. If you call and it's busy, try again because as we eliminate callers, phone lines open up. And, of course, you can always post your question on weekendappointment.com, www.weekendappointment.com, spelled just like it sounds. Dave, you're next on the air.
Yes, Carl.
Yeah, what's going on, brother?
I've heard you on the show with Bob. I listen to Bob just about every day, so I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to touch base.
Yeah.
I have a consumer issue. I had some mechanical work done on my vehicle, and the problem is actually worse now than it was $1,800 later.
Okay.
And when I call, they won't take my call or return my call, so I called another location in this well-known transmission chain, who shall remain unnamed.
Right.
And they said, oh, no, we can't do a thing for you. You got to take it back to where you had the work done. So I call the company's 800 number, and I get voicemail.
Okay.
Said, we'll get back to you in 72 hours or whatever. Well, this is the weekend, of course, so I won't hear from them until next week.
Right.
And the vehicle is just barely drivable at best.
Right.
Unfortunately, it cleaned out everything I had in the bank, plus most of my last paycheck. So basically, I'm floating on air here. But I need to do something. Is there a consumer fraud phone number or a state police fraud hotline or something that I can call?
The Attorney General's office maintains a consumer fraud department here in Pennsylvania that you can invoke. But they don't do anything quickly. And in fact, unfortunately, like almost all legal remedies, things happen very slowly.
I was aware of that, but I'm unfortunately between a rock and a hard place because it's the only vehicle I have, and I do need to get to work, or I'm in deep doo.
I think your best bet at the moment is to kind of go two-track. I would immediately, and you can go to the Attorney General's website to find out how to download the forms you need to send in to initiate a consumer complaint. They'll then contact the business and give them a chance to explain their side of the story. So as you can imagine, this starts to take a while. However, I would initiate that immediately, and then I would simultaneously start working the company over pretty hard with that 800 number. I would also see if I could go online and find a address for the corporate headquarters and get a certified letter sent to them complaining about the problem and the situation. The fact that you did that will probably trigger somebody in the customer service department in there to go, okay, this guy actually took the time to write us a letter. We better address it. And they will move much faster probably than than the AG's office will be able to go. So those will be your two best options. There is no great option right now that's going to magically fix this problem.
Yeah, I've turned wrenches off and on since I was 12, so I know the drill. But I just couldn't find any listing anywhere for a consumer hotline or anything anymore.
No, and like I say, the Better Business Bureau is another place you can go. But I would just start pushing all the buttons and see which one gets there fastest.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, always the problem in these types of cases, because we get these once in a while in the office, always is, the mechanic says, oh, I didn't do anything wrong, prove it. And you always run into that problem of getting, then you get a second opinion, get another mechanic. And
that's why I wanted to take it to one of the other stores, and they told me, oh, no, we're all independently owned and operated. You have to take it back where it went. Well, the warranty paperwork says take it to an named place,
right,
and present this receipt and warranty, and it'll be repaired or replaced without charge. It doesn't say this particular one, but the other ones are blowing me off, of course, because they don't want to be saddled with it. I'm sure.
Right.
But when I called the company hotline number, the 800 number, I got that voicemail. It was kind of funny. It says, if this is your first time calling, press 1. Or if you know the extension you want to speak to, dial that now. So I pushed 1, and I left all the pertinent information for him. So I thought, I'm going to call him back. So I called him back, and it says, if this is your first time calling, press 1, which it wasn't. So I'm like, okay, this is not my first time calling. Now what do I do? And it says, dial the extension if you know it. Well, I don't know the extension. Click, thank you for calling.
Right.
And it cuts you off. It doesn't give you the option to call the second time.
The other thing I would advise you to do is search Google for other people that might have had a similar problem with the company and see how they were able to resolve it. Sometimes that's helpful too. There's some websites out there that collect consumer problems and solutions.
Okay. So
all right, my friend.
Is there a consumer number or anything that I can call in the meantime? Other than that?
Not that I'm aware of. No magic 800 numbers that I'm aware of. But again, if you search Google, you might be able to find one. All right, Dave.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I understand his problem. He wants a solution now, and unfortunately, in the world I deal with, in the legal world, we always are just there to kind of clean up the mess afterwards, except for the occasional injunction or emergency action. But how do you find a judge on a Saturday? Joe, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger. Hey, Joe.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, Carl. Great show. Listen. I was driving home and I heard your comment about the health care, about dropping insurance and all that. I'm self-employed, my wife and I.
Yeah.
And we were just wondering, is that true? I mean, can we do that? We have insurance now with Blue Cross.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't actually advocate anybody drop their insurance yet because nobody knows where this is actually headed. But the situation that they're literally creating is, as long as it is cheaper to remain uninsured than to be insured, and you don't have a chronic health problem, all you need to do is sign up for insurance when you discover you have a chronic health problem or an acute problem. So, the reality is, and I'll give you an example. This is where there's historical examples of this. Virginia, the state of Virginia used to say, you don't have to buy auto insurance. In fact, they still say that. But back in the 1970s or whenever they passed that law, they said if you don't buy auto insurance, you have to pay a one-time $500 fee to the state. And when auto insurance costs $300 for the average person, $400 for the average person, it made sense to buy your auto insurance instead of paying the fine for not carrying it. Okay. Now, fast forward to 2010, when the average person's auto insurance is, say, $3,000 a year in Richmond for a nice car. And if they feel like they don't want to pay it, they just send $500 into the state and save $2,500. Now, if you do that, 3 years in a row, you probably got $7,500 back in your pocket. So you're kind of running a little bit of a gamble. Problem is, if that guy hits you, he doesn't have insurance. Right. And so,
that's the same here, right? I mean, with underinsured or uninsured, we have to carry insurance for both of them.
But we have to at least carry $15,000 of liability here in Pennsylvania, which is too low. But I mean, at least there's some insurance. In theory, a Pennsylvania driver hits you, they're at least going to have some insurance as long as they're obeying the law. In Virginia, people are obeying the law, and it's because the incentive has reversed. It's now cheaper to pay the fine than to carry the insurance. So why I'm pointing this out is people will make decisions in healthcare, and like Shane sitting over here in the other booth, he's practically he was eating some kind of wrap today. Obviously, he's a very healthy kid. And he's going to go, I'm never sick. I don't go see the doctor. I'm just going to pay the flat fee every year. And if I get sick, I'll do something about it. Because a lot of young people intentionally don't have insurance. In fact, all this hubbubaloo about uninsured people turn out that half of them or more are voluntarily uninsured, even though they have it available to them.
Exactly. Because they don't want to pay the premiums.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, because like with us, I mean, like just for example, the other day I went to the doctor's. The bill was $83 for the office visit. My Blue Cross, they paid $7 because I hadn't reached my deductible yet. But now, one more thing: what happens when if they repeal it?
Well, right, and then you got a problem.
Yeah, because then you don't have insurance.
And that's why I'm telling. And of course, that's what Obama and the crew are counting on. If we can get far enough down the road into this, the repeal becomes impossible because everybody will switch how they play the game.
Oh God!
All right, my friend.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great show. Keep it up.
I'm trying. 540-0580. Let's see who's next here. Joanne.
Hi, I just had a comment for the CDL driver to think about.
Yeah.
My husband's a driver, too, and we ran into problems the last time he went job hunting. Normally, you kind of wave your CDL in the air and you get 20 or 30 offers and you pick the cream of the crop. But he'd gotten into an accident up in New York City. Somebody else hit him, but just because he had an accident on his record, a lot of the better places that he would have preferred going to really didn't want him.
Right.
So while I absolutely agree with him on principle, If they didn't tell him ahead of time that they were able to take the money out of his paycheck and they're doing it anyway, obviously above his objections, that's kind of bull. But $1,500 might be worth it to keep it off your record.
Right. Right. And I agree with that. I understand completely what you're saying. And we have this come up quite a bit because people get these accidents and they get reported out and then it's stuck on their record and they didn't cause the accident, but the insurance company kind of looks at it and says, well, they could have caused it, or maybe they weren't good enough defensive driver, so they hold it against you. You're right. And
the companies are worse than the insurance companies where that's concerned. You can get into trouble with safety. You can have a hard time getting a job. They can put you on all types of different penalties governing your trucks and all kinds of fun stuff just because they can.
Right. Right. I know. I agree with that entirely. We also see this a lot with even minor traffic offenses where they'll hold that against somebody.
Absolutely.
And so, of course, we always count. The other thing about CDL drivers is it depends what state you're from. So here in Pennsylvania, a lot of people get a ticket, and we plead it down to what's called a 3111. But for a lot of CDL drivers from a lot of states, that actually counts as a different kind of violation it does here in PA because they book it differently. So we actually have a little master list that tells us, what state are you from? Okay, you're from Illinois. Here's the Pennsylvania violation that'll do you the least damage. And so you have to be very careful as a CDL driver how you resolve accidents, how you resolve tickets, and changing jobs.
Right.
All right. I got to go to break.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 540-0580. Hey, Carl Rominger here, coming to you Saturday afternoon, answering your legal questions, 540-0580. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an attorney here in the mid-state, practice all over the area. And we got a lot of calls today, so again, I'm going to go right back to the call boards. But if you don't get through this afternoon, don't pout. Go to weekendappointment.com, weekendappointment.com. Post your question there. I'll answer it. I've been answering some this morning, and I just did one during the break. Matt, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger.
Hi, Carl. I think it's a somewhat complicated question.
Okay.
Or maybe plural. What I'm looking for information on how to form a citizen's grand jury, and I would also be tied to these politicians who I believe have violated their oath of office, and can they legally be removed from office for violating their oath? Well,
first of all, in terms of a citizen's grand jury, I believe that Pennsylvania has a grand jury statute that creates the procedure for the creation of grand juries. Statewide grand juries are created by the Attorney General at the behest he asks the Chief Justice to convene the grand jury, and they assign a judge and start a statewide investigating grand jury. And they're kind of basically tools of the AG's office. And local prosecutors can start local investigating grand juries. Again, that's frameworks created by statute and regulated by the courts. I'm unaware of the ability of a citizen to convene a grand jury.
And I know that in other states it is possible, and it has been done. I'm just I'm trying to figure out what it is that citizens in Pennsylvania can do.
We don't have, and see, the beauty of the grand jury is the subpoena power and the power to kind of a compulsory process to drag people in and compel testimony. You don't have that without the grand jury. What private citizens do have is called the private criminal complaint, where you could file in a county, and then the district attorney can approve or disapprove the private criminal complaint. And if the district attorney disapproves of the private criminal complaint, then you can appeal that to the judge, who then would order the district attorney to either pursue it or not pursue it, depending on the court's view of the matter. So okay. that would be. But where you're headed with all that, I mean, the reality is there's probably not a great citizen's remedy. The most likely the remedy is going to have to be at the ballot box.
I understand that. But is there any legal action that can be taken against politicians who violate their oath of office?
Well, there are certain statutes. For instance, if you take your campaign cell phone and call, do official government business on it, that's a misdemeanor. You can be removed from office for that. There are other ethics violations that allow you to be removed from office. Violating the Wiretap Act allows a politician to be removed from office or civil servant. So there are a lot of statutes that allow for that. And then there's a constitutional basis, but that requires, for instance, judges have to be impeached. I think the legislature can expel their own members, but I don't think private citizens can we don't have recall here in Pennsylvania either.
So basically what you're telling me is that as far as Pennsylvania is concerned, we're hosed.
As far as I know. Now, have I spent hours looking for some, esoteric way to figure this out? No, I haven't. But the short answer is I think you have to go the official channels for the moment.
Okay, so...
I mean, unlike California has recall. California, the citizens can put anything they want on the ballot. Just
right.
have to get enough, Of course, they might legalize marijuana that way here in a few months, I understand. So,
it was my understanding that in the U.S. Code that if you violate your oath of office, you can be forcibly removed. But then the politicians say that they're exempt because they're the ones who get to make the laws. But everybody else that takes an oath of office, like a military,
right.
Police officers, FBI.
Well, in the U.S. Code, the United States Congress has pretty much exempted themselves. Every piece of legislation they're exempted from, for the most part, includes some language in there.
Well, I thought that the Constitution said that all the laws had to abide by the laws that they passed also, which, of course, we all know that they don't.
But that's what's interesting. They do abide by the laws they pass, but the law specifically exempts them. They're not breaking the law.
I guess you're getting to the root of what we find so frustrating with
yeah, I know
folks who claim that they're upholding their oath of office, violating their oath of office to uphold laws that they pass that they're exempt from, that they're not supposed to be exempt from, but they're exempt from it.
Right,
I mean, they're masters with circular logic.
I know, and it's partly a lawyer in court problem too. All right, my friend, I'm going to move on and answer some more legal questions here.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. 540-0580, 540-0580. I hope my scratchy voice sounding too bad here on the air, Shane. Am I okay? Can people understand
No,
me?
you sound lovely.
Okay, good.
As always.
Donna, you're in WHP 580 with Carl Rominger.
Hi, Carl. How are you?
Good. How are you?
One of the things I've been rolling over in my mind is it seems like that a lot of this stuff surely is some type of a violation of HIPAA. It doesn't seem like that there should be so much information passed around about individual citizens, especially in their health care.
Right. Well, HIPAA is I'm certain that, well, here's what you run into. You're talking about the new legislation.
Yes, uh-huh.
Well, when government passes new legislation that's inconsistent with prior legislation, to the extent that it would seem to be inconsistent, we would generally assume that they were aware of the prior legislation and meant to overrule it. Does that make sense?
That's a little scary.
Well, but they could have repealed HIPAA, right?
Oh, okay.
So I mean, in other words, if the Congress says, no right turns on red, and then later they pass a law that says on Tuesdays you can make a right turn on red, we assume that they didn't explicitly overrule the old legislation, but at least as to certain circumstances they have, because they must have been aware that they already had this rule, right? Because they're the Congress and they're all-knowing. So we always presume that they know all the laws they've passed and all the laws as they now stand when they speak on something. So we have rules of statutory construction. I'm kind of oversimplifying it, but we have a whole system, in fact, that the legislature has adopted in Pennsylvania called the rules of statutory construction, and Congress has the same thing in the U.S. Code that allows us lawyers and courts to figure out a series of rules on how to interpret what they meant if things appear to be inconsistent. So I would tell you that to my thumbnail analysis is, to the extent that the new legislation is inconsistent with HIPAA, we would say that they intended to modify those rules at least for purposes of whatever it is they're seeking to do now.
I had no idea that things could be changed so easily.
Yeah, very easily.
An assumption. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess you answered my question on that one. Thank you.
Well, and Donna, though, let me just say, however, if a lawyer is clever enough and a court buys the argument, you might be able to say, well, no, these are inconsistent, and under the rules of construction, they didn't actually mean to change this, therefore the new legislation should give way to the old legislation, or in other words, there are times that those arguments fly. They're very rare, but they do. So, it would be worth going through. But again, that's above my pay grade.
Mine too.
All right, Donna, thank you.
Thank you.
I cut her off before she could say goodbye, and I apologize. Sometimes my finger hits the button too fast. 540-0580, 540-0580. Carl Rominger answering your legal questions and getting mixed up in a little healthcare debate here as well. Tara, you're at WHP 580.
Hello.
Hi, Tara.
Hi. Yeah, I have a question for you. And this is, let's say, like, you work for a private company. This actually is for a friend of mine. I'm making the call. And I'm not going to give the name of the company, but it is a private company, and private companies, I know, have the right to, they can fire people for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say there's been an employee that's been there for some years, like 19 years, never had any type of problems or violations or anything. But the company kind of has a reputation for getting rid of people once they have a disability or get injured. Now, it wasn't any type of workman's comp situation, or they weren't injured on the job per se, but
Right.
all of a sudden accusations are being made against the employee that are unfounded and don't have any facts to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
Accusations of like, oh, well, somebody reported that you seemed intoxicated, or, and the employee was taken forth to have a drug and alcohol test, of course, because that's part of policy if there's an accusation. And tests 100% clear, and now a week later, other people are coming forth and accusing the person of that at different, places, and which the person believes that it's probably a boss involved that's like leaking information and it's spreading around. Now other people are making accusations and again being taken for another test, which is 100% clear. But anyway, with all this being said, the character is being completely trashed, the reputation and character of this person. And we actually happened to have a friend who had a friend over at their house that night that was a Human Relations Commission investigator. And he looked at the letter of the first verbal warning, and he had said that it looks like they're trying to create a paper trail on you to ruin your character, that they might want to strike and end up getting rid of you. So he recommended calling the Human Relations Commission. And I know it's a state agency, and you don't always get the greatest workers when it comes with dealing with the state. And I know because I've, worked for the state. But you have one investigator saying this is a case. This whole letter is garbage. There's no facts. There's no evidence. There's no anything. And then you have somebody at the Human Relations Commission, another person saying, well, there's nothing. We can't do anything for you, and just kind of getting off the phone quickly. So I'm trying to find out what other type of legal action might be the next step, what attorneys you might recommend, or what type of legal action could be next, because it seems like, we want to file a complaint so that it's on file.
I think you probably want to go with the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission to file. I mean, I think that would be the best place to start.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The one investigator is saying you have a case, go file it with us. And then the other person on the phone is saying, you don't have a case, you can't file a complaint with us.
Yeah, I would rather file it and have it dismissed than not file it at all. At least.
Oh, so you can still file it even if they say you don't have a case?
Yeah, you can file a written one with them, and then they work it over.
Okay. So first step would be filing that, and then maybe seeking an attorney.
Yeah, and you might want to contact me offline because I have to think hard about who I would send you to for something like that.
Okay. Should I do that through weekendappointment.com?
Yeah, you can fire me an email through there.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. I got to go to break. 540-0580. Hey, 540-0580. Carl Rominger here answering your legal questions. And I'm going to keep going to the board here hard because we're getting lots of calls. If you don't get through, go to weekendappointment.com, post your stuff there. If you want to sound off about health care, we got a section on there for politics. Get on there. Let's hear what you got to say. Let's get a discussion going. I'll be happy to weigh in. We can go back and forth. Maybe we can build up, and maybe we'll change the world. Jeff, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger.
Hello?
Hi, Jeff.
Yes, I have a quick question. After several years on a personal injury claim, can the insurance company force you to make a settlement offer? Is there a time limit on your claim?
Well, yeah. I mean, did you file the lawsuit?
Yes.
Well, the short answer is there's no requirement then to make a settlement offer. The remedy is at some point somebody's got to go to court.
What I'm saying is, after that's all been done, I mean, can they force you to make an offer to them?
No, there's no requirement that either side make an offer to the other side.
So there's no time limit. In other words, you can go on for like years and years.
Well, you can, except that somebody just called it for trial. Hey, judge, we're ready for trial.
Mm-hmm.
And then judge looks at the other side and says, are you ready for trial? And if they say no, judge says, why aren't you ready for trial? This case has been 2 years old. I'll give you 30 days to get your act together. Or, here's a schedule.
But what if it's already been to trial and everything has already been, set that, there's, it was passed, it was good on the trial?
Well, if a trial's over, there must have been a verdict.
Yeah, and and that's why I say after several years of being on this claim, are already on the claim. I'm saying if you're on the claim, let's say for like 5 years, can the insurance company come and then say, well, we're going to force you to can they force you to make a settlement?
Well, I guess I'm not following you.
In other words, if you have a personal injury claim and you've been on it for like, let's say 5 years, and then the insurance company can.
Are you talking workers' compensation, or are you talking?
Yeah, workers' compensation.
Oh, see.
Can they force?
That's a little bit different. Those are special rules, and the answer is they can't force you to compromise it, but at some point they might convince a judge that you're no longer entitled to the benefit.
But there's no time limit on as far as them. No, you don't have. They can't make you by law make a settlement to them, make an offer to them.
Nobody ever has to settle.
What's that?
Nobody ever has to settle.
Oh, okay, I see.
But if you don't settle, and they eventually convince a judge that you're no longer entitled to the benefits or that your medical care is only related to the accident, then that'll stop it, and then you can't go back and undo that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the incentive to settle is sometimes.
I see, but that's only to prove if the accident was that you're no longer injured from the accident, right?
Right. Well, right, or that you're no longer that you can work again.
I see. Okay.
Get you off the pay benefit.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Carl.
All right, no problem.
Bye.
Yeah. See, I was getting a little confused because I'm thinking trial. And workers' comp is different. Car accidents, medical malpractice. That's one set of law. Workers' comp, its own little baby. 540-0580. Greg, you're on WHP 580.
Hi, Carl. About the issue with HIPAA and how that might relate to the new legislation that just was passed. I've been pulling the legislation apart in a master's program for health administration and nursing. And from what I can see, HIPAA is going to still be in play. I mean, the covered entities are still going to be responsible for the protected health information, but I will put this caveat in there. In being a former federal employee and working in healthcare in the federal realm, you know as well as I do that with what they want to eventually do with health information and having a national database, that health information can be it can be inadvertently released at any time, and then if it's a federal agency that you're having to deal with, if your information has been released, you're going to have and it's caused a problem, you're going to have to get a judge to agree for you to be able to sue the federal government if there's a claim against them.
Yeah, I mean, well, realistically, the king and the king can keep themselves exempt from lawsuit, and they can just add a little wrinkle.
They can say tough luck.
That's right.
And eventually, what the goal with this health care is that they want to have one form of a national database where everybody will be able to move their information around. If they go from one agency that provides health care for them, it can be moved, and there'll be a standardized electronic medical record for everybody. And you see as well as I do all the time how information is being violated through hackers, through inadvertent releases. Your information is going to be all over the place. I don't see how, on a global scale, they're going to be able to protect your health information. I really don't.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, anytime you collect data or you collect information into one source, it becomes easier for other people to manipulate or steal, and that's always the danger. So, no, I agree. I agree they're going to collect this stuff, and they're not going to be able to keep it secure. But I'm not sure what the remedy is, except, again, that you need a government that's not going to do that. But, democracy is a democracy, and so far we've chosen representatives who apparently think this is the right way to go. And until
we're a democracy now. We're not supposed to be, but we are one now. But
as soon as our
another debate.
Right. Why don't you get on weekendappointment.com and write some stuff up on this, and we'll get a discussion going.
Will do.
All right, my friend.
Okay, bye-bye.
540-0580. David, you're on WHP 580. David.
Hi, Carl.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Call this afternoon. Just have a simple question. How do you annul an adoption?
Okay, and you might have posted this on Weekend Appointment because I put a question back to whoever posted this annulment of adoption was who's trying to annul the adoption and why? And the reason I did that is I'm saying if it's been a long time, I'm not sure the passage of time would allow for the annulment of it.
Okay, if things did not work out as planned, you're telling me I can't do that?
Well, let me give it to you. I'll put it to you this way. Yeah, if you adopt a kid and then you get a divorce or something, like we could do a step-parent adoption. I always warn the step-parent, like you're going to be like the biological father. You don't get out of this unless.
Well, Carl, let's flip that around. I am the adoptee.
Right. You're the adoptee.
Correct. I was the one that was adopted.
Okay. And are you over 18?
Correct.
Okay. And you want to be unadopted?
Correct.
I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to have to research that. So did you post, look, if you posted the question on Weekend Appointment, you'll see the answer here in a day or two.
Sure did.
All right, man. All right, folks, go to weekendappointment.com. It's funny because I was looking at that question during the break going, wonder about that. So that's good to get a little data. Now I know the rest of the answer to what I'd thrown back at them. Go to weekendappointment.com, post your questions throughout the week, find my phone number or send me an email. Folks, I'll see you next Saturday.